After you've defined the purpose statement of your report, the next step is to decide on the scope of your report. The scope of the report is the outline of key topics you will cover in your report. You can see the scope as the structure of your entire report. To help you brainstorm a rough outline for your scope, here are some questions you can ask yourself. What is the report about? This will make sure that your report is relevant to the reader's goals and objectives. What is it not about? You want to focus all your efforts on what the reader wants, not what he doesn't want. How much time do you have to complete this report? Your deadline will decide on how much you can cover in your report. What research needs to be done? Your scope will inspire the content of your research. For example, the questions in an online survey will be closely related to the scope areas as you want your data and research to answer the purpose statement as much as possible. Your reader will have certain expectations after reading your scope, so be careful not to overestimate what you can cover and be unable to deliver. Need some practice? Here's an example. Let's imagine that you have to write a feasibility report for the Business Development Director of Froyoyo, an increasingly popular frozen yogurt concept, hoping to become the #1 frozen yogurt brand among youths in Singapore. Froyoyo hopes to launch their newest outlet at Clementi Mall. The objective of your report is to evaluate the feasibility of setting up a Froyoyo outlet in Clementi Mall and recommend ways to capture the youth market. What will your scope areas be? Pause this video and write down in your workbook 3 to 4 things the Business Development Director will want to see in this report. Do you have your 3 to 4 topics? You may have come up with these scope areas: awareness of Froyoyo, lifestyle of use, satisfaction level of Froyoyo, expectations of the outlet, and competitors analysis. You may have included scope areas like the cost of setting up the outlet, or the availability of retail space, or even manpower requirements. However, do remember that you are doing a feasibility report. Find out if the target market is ready for Froyoyo first. If the target market is not receptive to Froyoyo, there is no need to find out the logistical requirements of setting up an outlet at Clementi Mall. So, did you get your 3 to 4 topics? If you didn't get them the first time round, don't worry. Being good at scoping projects and reports comes with practice, and it is an important skill you must master for any project that you will do in the future, not only business reports. Now, say you're limited by the time and the length of your report, and you could only choose 3 topics to focus your report on. What would you choose? Did you choose these 3? Awareness of Froyoyo, lifestyle of use, competitors analysis? While the others are also essential, these 3 focus on one very important thing: Froyoyo's target customers. After all, no customers, no business. In your survey under the scope area, awareness of Froyoyo, you may find out how people heard about Froyoyo and whether they have heard about the health benefits of frozen yogurt. This scope area is necessary because it will evaluate how much Froyoyo's target customers know about the brand and what Froyoyo stands for. The company can better decide the marketing potential of Froyoyo. In your survey under the scope area lifestyle of use, you may find out how much people are willing to spend on frozen yogurt per week and how often they buy frozen yogurt. How often they will patronize Froyoyo and how much they can spend on frozen yogurt will determine the continued patronage of the outlet, which will ultimately affect the long-term sustainability of the business. In your survey under the scope area competitors analysis, you may find out if people have heard of XYZ frozen yogurt and their preferred brand of frozen yogurt. This scope area is important, especially if Clementi Mall already has a competitor selling the same product. How much customers prefer Froyoyo over the rival product will determine if Froyoyo's business can thrive in Clementi Mall. As you can see, it's not enough just to list the scope areas in your report. Your reader will need you to describe the areas you've chosen to cover. You may have noticed that I just gave you a description of each scope area and why that scope is relevant to the report. Likewise, in your report, describe each scope area in full sentences, first stating what the title of the scope area is, what you will be discussing in each scope, and end of each section with a reason why this scope area is relevant to the report's purpose. So here's an example of how it would look like in your report. 1.3 Competitors Analysis. This scope analyzes the respondents' awareness and satisfaction level of Yummy Yogurt, a rival frozen yogurt chain which also has an outlet at Clementi Mall. The findings will support Froyoyo's management in evaluating the anticipated reception of an additional frozen yogurt outlet at Clementi Mall. As a rule of thumb, a wide scope covers many topics, about 6 or more, and a narrow scope covers between 1 and 5 topics. Be careful of the correct terminology. The scope refers collectively to all the topics in your report. A scope area refers to the individual topic. It is not grammatically correct to refer to the topics as scopes.
Created using Powtoon.